with Morgan not willing to say I love you, almost losing Alex, and in the end I thought it was really cute. Way that scene, it was just so cute how they made up, and after they made up and he finally said I love you, Karina was who cares to both of them.
Yeah, I love that Alex said it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I think that's one reason that Karina is so intrigued by Martin. Is that he actively tries to resist her.
Yeah.
And even more so in this episode. And it was fun to see that happening again and to see her just consternation about that. I also liked that McKenna Melvin and Minnie Andon, they have the same coloring and they even have the same facial structure. So, Morgan's got a type.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the Charlie's Angels shots. That's cute. It's fun.
Yeah.
Did you notice that this paralleled 315 with the heart-to-heart homage at the beginning?
Yeah, very much so.
Yep. And then here we have 415 and we have the Charlie's Angels homage.
Yeah.
And once again, it's Morgan daydreaming.
Yeah, and I think in that context, we have to give Chuck a little bit of a break. And by Chuck, I mean the show. In the sense that when you start an episode with something like that, like this is Charlie's Angels, this is Daydream from Morgan, I think you can't take it as seriously perhaps as the Colonel or
right.
You know what I mean? Like they're saying we're gonna have a little fun with this. We're gonna play around with a few different things. This is not a season finale. You know what I mean?
Right. Even some of the fade outs, they had the roar. And with the claws going, so they went for it. I agree. They started out with comedic tone, and they told us right from the start, this is going to be a fun episode. This is going to be amusing, and you're going to love it. And here's my prop for this episode. He's been wiggling around down there. This is Basil, the juvenile delinquent.
Hi, Basil.
He's not amused. He's on screen.
Yeah.
He wants to play with my necklace, but finally I have a prop that's relevant.
Very cool.
It's cute.
Yeah, he's a cutie and he knows it. But
my daughter would love a cat, but sadly.
Daddy won't let her have one?
You know what? Actually, she wants a dog more, and we're using dog as an incentive to... I mean, moving countries is a really big deal, and we want to give her something to look forward to in California.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Basil. Way to hijack.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. He's done. But so we had the Cat Squad, and we had them up against their arch nemesis again, Gaius, which, I really wish we'd had more with Lieutenant Phillips. I think he did a good job with what amount of time he was given. And
I do think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. He was a good smart.
I love Lieutenant Phillips, so I was kind of disappointed there wasn't more of him.
Yeah. Well, at least he got more than Bronson Pinchot. That's gonna be Balky's gonna be the low bar for
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed that we didn't have more of that, but it was worth the payoff of getting more of Sarah interacting with Amy, who, hello, did you not know that it was her from like the second minute she was on screen?
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of a no-brainer.
Little too obvious.
Yeah. But still fun.
Nice. Yeah, fun watching her be all perky cheerleader and wondering when she was going to turn. And as soon as Casey brings her in to interrogate Gaius, the chat room on Chuck TV was like, "No, what are you thinking?"
Yeah. And it was creative how Chuck broke those CDs and used them as throwing stars. That was pretty fun.
We did not put on the Friday 5 list of wedding gifts that Chuck and Sarah should have in case that. Edit.
Yeah.
Why didn't we think of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and then we had Chuck falling through the glass.
That was fun.
It was fun because this was a little bit back to, bumbling Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big complaint. That's a complaint that several fans had, was they made him such a dork, such a doofus in this one. And they were upset. They thought it was a regression. And for my part, when I was watching it, I was thinking, it was kind of endearing that he was so nervous around Sarah's friends. He wanted to impress them so badly that he was doing very, very badly.
Well, yeah, it was very intimidating. I'd be intimidated by them.
It seemed realistic to me. And then when she was so upset with him for interfering, that just adds to it.
Yeah.
Makes him even more of a bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
Well, he always falls into that when he's trying too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, there's precedent. So it didn't bother me at all. I just thought it was kind of cute.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
And some people had an issue with Sarah not standing up for Chuck. But honestly, I mean, this was obviously a huge issue for her.
Yeah.
Like it was a major can of worms that she never wanted to open. And so she had a lot to deal with these people from her past. And
feeling upset with Chuck for making her deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to give her time to get through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was also, some complaint about Sarah chewing Chuck out in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But then, in the end, when she's incapacitated, after Amy gives her the beatdown and Zandra the beatdown in the dojo, she calls Chuck. She gets her phone and she calls Chuck because she knows he's the one she can trust.
Mm-hmm.
He's capable. He's smart. He can take care of this.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love her at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a nice kind of affirmation that, they really are partners. They may have some kinks to work out still, but they're partners. They can rely on each other.
And that's kind of neat, because I know when we were kind of midway through the episode and when he was looking down through the glass, what I was thinking was going to happen was that Chuck was going to come down, he was going to use the intersect to do this flashy thing, and that Sarah's friends were going to say, "Ooh, he is really cool."
Yeah.
That's sort of what every geek guy would dream. It was going to happen. But the cool thing about the way it did happen was that Sarah first had to reconcile this, and then she was the one who could introduce Chuck to her friends, and she could prove Chuck to her friends. It wasn't that Chuck had to do that. You know what I'm saying? Right.
She needed to be the conduit to do it because they're her friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, we also had a nice Casey moment where he shared his lady feelings with Chuck in the van.
Yeah, I mean, to me, actually, that was the only scene out of the whole one that felt a little bit like it was just put there.
It was a little bit out of place, but I don't really know where else they could have put it.
Yeah.
I think they need it to have happened before next week's episode.
Yeah, I think so.
And there wasn't any room for it in last week's episode.
Yeah.
So they had to put it here.
I was waiting for some Morganism. After he, spilled his heart out to Morgan, and Morgan just didn't have anything to say. I was kind of surprised and a little let down.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan kept touching him. I thought he was going to get his arm chopped off.
Yeah.
Reaching out and touching him on my arm.
Yeah. But again, this was a very packed episode. There was a lot to do, a lot to take care of, a lot of characters to service. So I think, honestly, they did very well considering what they had to deal with.
Yeah. I wanted to mention Uplink in the CheckTV.net forum brought up that several people were wondering if we were going to see a mirror of the episode where Sarah is standing outside watching after Awesome proposes to Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
She's standing outside watching through the window and kind of not belonging. And people wondered if we were going to kind of see a mirror of that with Karina watching Chuck and Sarah through the window.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, what we got was Chuck watching his fiance and his sister sharing a moment.
Which is a really nice moment.
It was a really sweet moment, and he's there watching through the window as that happens, and it kind of removes a little bit of the sting of that earlier moment. When Sarah's watching through the window, he's got that kind of goofy smile on his face, and it was a really sweet moment, and I'm glad Uplink caught that parallel, that mirroring.
Yeah.
I want to bring that up. There's not enough Sarah and Ellie moments. We got to celebrate them when we get them.
Yeah, and that was a really, really nice one. And that, as compared to perhaps the Casey thing, that I thought, even though you kind of expected it, I thought it felt so natural.
Yeah, it did.
Like between both of them, and even though you kind of expected it, it still was so beautifully done.
It was. So we need more of that.
And I think we'll get it.
I hope so.
Now, I'm going to surprise you guys with this. I didn't mention this, but we did get an email. Do you mind if I read that email?
No.
It was from Van Yestian, talking about the prophecy in episode 401. The fairy tale that Frost reads to young Chuck in the first scene has three main parts. The king was freed, the castle was rebuilt, the Frost Queen returned home. Only this time she was a hero, and she promised never to leave her children again. Really, really interesting. I mean, I don't usually go back to rewatch until the end of the season, and they're right. The last two parts have come to pass. The castle was rebuilt. The Frost Queen returned home. She promised never to leave her children again. And the king was freed. Is not yet dealt with. So, what do you guys think about that?
Unless you say that Stephen Bartowski was the king, and he's free of this mortal coil. That's reaching.
Yeah.
Or if, as many people believe, he's not actually dead, even though we've been told over and over he's dead. Him coming back to life would be freeing him from, I don't know, cryogenesis.
That would be pretty epic.
That's assuming that he's the king, which if she's the Frost Queen, then I would think, and she's talking about their children. I think it has to be Stephen Bartowski.
Yeah, well, I think that was, if he had lived, of course. So I think the king is moot at this point.
Well, one way to look at that is, remember when Chuck took over for his dad and beat Volkov?
That's right.
When Chuck took over from his dad and beat Volkov, I think that would have been when the king was finally freed. Like that because his mission had been to bring his family back together, and he died trying to fulfill that mission. And when Chuck took over for his dad and fulfilled it, I could see that.
It's a little Oedipal for my taste, but yeah,